What are energy meditations? So this is an answer to that question. There are many different types of meditations that exist. Now, when you get into meditation, there's almost always an object of focus, an object of meditation. So this could be anything from maybe a mandala that's in front of you that you focus on. It could be a mandala that you visualize inside. It could be a color. It could be a sound or a mantra that you focus on. It could be your breathing. It could be observing the diaphragm expand and contract again. It could be how the air moves in and out of the body. There are more or less an infinite number of ways to get started with meditation. Now, where things end up going over time is that the meditator and the object of meditation merge. Right? The object that you're focusing on disappears and you disappear and you become one and the same. Now, when we are doing energy-based meditations, instead of the object of focus being, say, the body or a body scan, or specifically watching the thoughts or the breath or whatever it might be, it is on energy itself. So you have to start that process by building energy and being able to perceive it. It's very difficult to focus on something you're unable to perceive. So once you've built a coarse layer of energy, say with the life force, then you can focus on that energy and that becomes your object of meditation. So anything that comes into the awareness that is not the energy that you're focusing on, you end up dissolving that, and those particular clingings of the mind will release, and those areas will then be sort of defabricated and brought into the quality of the life force that you're building. That energy can, or the quantity, that energy can then absorb into what you're focusing on. So then comes the question of, well, if you're focusing on the energy, are you not observing the arising of mind, of emotion, of body, the more of the Vipassana-esque type of meditation? And you can go both ways. You can work on the energy from sort of a lower identity perspective, but if you are reaching a stage where you're merging with the energy, then you start to observe what influence that energy has. So one of the biggest values of doing energy-based meditations is that underneath the thought forms that might arise, the phenomena of mind, underneath the energy that gets shaped into emotions, underneath the perceptions of the body, there's different frequencies that those perceptions are carried on. So through doing energy meditations, you are working with the thing beneath the phenomenal form. Okay, and now it's still the energy, right? But it is not that thing as it exists in a form that gives it particular meaning, we could say. Now, of course, there's qualities there, but the shaped meaning can be morphed because you're not clinging to the meaning, right? Which allows the quality of the energy to be infinitely changeable, right? So as you work with subtler and subtler substrates of energy, more and more subtle aspects of phenomena will flicker in and out on that particular sort of vibrational bandwidth, is what it feels like when you're doing this. And it will stimulate your perceptions at that level. So you'll be able to have the observations at that level that you might not have been able to explore otherwise, right? And that's due to the stimulation of the energy at that level. Now, what then happens is that you can become free from the habits that exist in that level, in that particular bandwidth of vibration. Once you are free from those habits, then you can grow, the identity can expand, you essentially end up ascending, or you could look at it as the identity growing to include far greater expansiveness. And then from there, a higher vibration that you are capable of once again exploring. It'll stimulate the duality, and from that duality, you find unity with a greater evolution of identity, expansiveness, and connectedness, right? So this is sort of how the process tends to work. So what's nice with working the energy is that because you're not stuck on the forms of the phenomena in that bandwidth, the energy can wash in and out, and deep change can occur without having the identity get stuck on the forms. So the energy can move more freely because it is the energy that you're focusing on instead of the forms themselves. Then from that, once you unify with the vibration you're working with, right? And of course, I'm using the words like you unify and blah, 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 because we need to be able to discuss this. If you want to try to discuss something in the absence of duality, you just sit there and do a sit, basically, right? So once you've unified with that particular energy, then we have this thing that happens where you start to become aware of or the Akashic emptiness, sort of the real high-grade emptiness that exists underneath that frequency, in and around and through that frequency. There's a type of buffer emptiness that is there. And when you're exploring this, it starts to arise because when you unify with the frequency, you aren't a thing anymore, right? And if you are identified with the perception of the energy and suddenly you unify with it, then the perception of the energy disappears, right? And once the perception of the energy disappears, then our feedback of success, essentially, with what we're doing disappears. So once that feedback disappears, then we have to go through that process, and through the disappearing of the feedback, we find that there is something else that exists, or non-exists, or however you want to look at it. So some of the biggest value in working with the energy directly is that we can work through a lot of progress without stimulating too much attachment to the forms or the specifics of visualizations or exercises or whatever it might be. The energy can wash through, and pretty deep and fast change can occur. Alrighty, hope you enjoyed this, and if you're interested in training with me, please check out the website. We have a couple of online courses there, plus a video Q&A reference library, which has lots and lots of footage on it at this point. I also teach private sessions over video calls. Those are 2 hours in length. You can contact me if you're interested. And if you're interested in training live, I'm teaching a retreat, level 1 and 2 spiritual attunement retreats in June 2025, and that'll be in British Columbia. So you can check out the details there as well on the website. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.